I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight the stars and cars of the U.S. Open Wheel Championship will take on the Nurburgring Nordschleife. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth, as always, by Mr. James Watson and Mr. Wes Shire. Well, I'm sorry, Patrick Byrne and Mr. Wes Shire joining us in the booth tonight. This one, I had jokingly put together a nap time at the Nords graphic for this one. But I'll tell you what, James, we'll come to you first. I don't think that's necessarily what we're going to see here tonight.
I don't think so either. Like, you know, we make a lot of jokes, but like the races here aren't too boring. You know, we do see a lot of good action. You know, it's cool to watch them, you know, go around the track in and of itself. You know, this track is not for the faint of heart. If you look at a corner wrong, you're being sent into a guardrail that's very, very close to the track edge. So just watching everyone just try to keep it on the track and just finish is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Bizzler, actually, Wes, let's come to you next on this one. James talking about how tight this place can be. That's really something that these drivers absolutely must consider over the course of this race. There is not a lot of room to make a mistake.
There sure isn't, and as always, the curbs are close, aggressive, and they will spit you out into the nearest solid object and happily end your race.
Yeah, it's... Oh, go ahead, Bizzle.
I think I'm in the minority here, but I actually find the Nürburgring to be a very easy track to drive. There's no real difficult corners. Once you memorize all the important ones, which it's intimidating how many corners there are in this track and how long it is. There's really only 6 or 7 corners, and you could really break them down in the sections between these corners that you actually have to memorize. And it's a nice leisurely drive to get around here. I love this track.
Just a fun little back road set up in the mountains of Germany.
Yes. Picking up David Porcelli here. I have no idea what section of the racetrack he's on. I am a known Nürburgring hater, but I think some of that is because my iRating is absolutely terrible. And quite frankly, the place, it's difficult, but it's not impossible to learn. And Wes, we've heard you talk about this before. In these cars, you're spending a lot of the lap at absolute full throttle.
Yeah, I would have to estimate the better part of 70% of this lap is at full throttle in these cars. Because, sure, there's 100 some odd corners, you know. A whole lot of those are just little kinks, little switchbacks, nothing major. Or, conversely, they are really, really fast, high-speed sweepers, but with the downforce and relative lack of power in these cars, they're still flat out real easy. So, while I do think Bizzle is insane in calling this easy, if you kind of think about it as a whole bunch of squiggly straights, yeah, okay, I can see. Maybe there's, 8 corners or so. But in reality, that's not actually it. And we are for sure going to see...
That is my favorite section
that
of
right
track
there.
right there. that David Porcelli just spun out through. You come into a right-hander, it's downhill, it's banked into an immediate double apex left-hander, still downhill, and then it's uphill real quick into the right-hander coming into this section here. I don't know all the corner names or anything like that. I just know that I really like this one.
Hey, this corner's neat. Or, hey, I die in this corner every time.
My German soul hurts hearing that.
I know Floodplots. I don't know where Floodplots is. I couldn't point it out to you on a map, but that name sounds familiar.
Could you point it out on the map with labels on it?
Probably
yes.
Negatory.
If you're looking at the track in the north-oriented, like north at top-oriented position, it's towards the top left of the track.
It sure isn't.
Really? that section with the jump. That's not Floodplots?
Which jump? It's the first one specifically. So
yes, the first jump where the famous Graham Hill picture is. That's not towards the top left, like towards the 10 o'clock of the circuit?
It's closer to 7 or 8. 8 o'clock based on my reckoning.
It's in the early part of the circuit.
Yeah, it's certainly in the early part of the circuit. It's first sector, between kilometers 2 and 3. About kilometer 2. This wonderful 22-odd, 23-odd kilometer circuit, because...
That's about 17 miles for anyone who is from a country that's landed on the moon.
Clearly our math is just as bad as our commentary tonight. Anyway, cars are rolling.
Yes, cars are rolling. Let's give you the starting lineup. Unfortunately, we will not have a graphics package for you because ATVO has decided to grenade themselves. We're going to switch back starting tomorrow. On the front row for this one will be Everett Paddock lining up alongside Frankie D. These laps were set in the qualification sessions that are separate from the race. So you get a chance all week to set a hot lap for this one. And Everett Paddock and Frankie D doing just that to get on the front row. Row number 2 will have Tom Whitmer lining up alongside David Porcelli. Row 3, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth lining up alongside of Richard Holt. Liam Loisel and Greg Gilman on row number 4. Row 5 will have Simon Fell and Rod Eskew. Cameron Dance, Brian Labarge on row number 6. Row 7 will be Max King and Mike Holler. All alone on the final row will be Owen Todd. Field making their way down to the final right-hand corner. Green flag will go in the air, and we are underway here at the Nurburgring. Possible trouble for Max King toward the back of the grid. Everett Paddock jumps out to a big lead to start this thing. Only 4 laps will be the distance here tonight. And quite frankly, James, it's a very long 4 laps, but that also means some of your passing opportunities you're only going to get 3 really good cracks at.
Yeah, we actually lowered the distance. I'm kind of used to it being 5. Yeah, that's the tough thing is that, there's not a whole lot of good passing opportunities. But, yeah, you only have a small handful of really good passing opportunities. So you really got to make those moments count. And, a lot of those, you have to sit behind them through a long stretch of tough corners. So you have to make sure you're doing everything you can to stay behind them so you can set them up going through that passing zone, down the long back straightaway.
Just seeing David Porcelli come around Frankie D. He's going to go in hunt of Everett Paddock now. And Bizzle, this is one of those things about the Nürburgring. When you have split qualifying, these drivers get to set the hot lap. But what that also means is if they're down on race pace, they could end up holding up somebody that's quicker than them on outright speed.
Yeah, I am usually a fantastic hot lapper, and usually I'm not nearly as fast in the race. So I can go out there, especially if you have unlimited temps at it, and go out there and try and set a real quick time. And I could probably get towards the front of the field in this top split. But I would end up being a rolling chicane the entire race if everyone dying to get by me. And that's kind of an interesting aspect of split qualifying racing we have at the Nürburgring.
driver, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, the law firm, running in the 5th position. Richard Holt runs 6th. 7th is going to be Cameron Nance. Liam Loisel, Greg Gilman, Simon Fell complete the top 10. Max King already on pit lane. Looks like he is done for the evening. I'll tell you what, Wes, there are so many iconic spots around the Nürburgring, whether you're talking vintage F1 races that you see on YouTube or clips, or the absolutely epic crash compilation videos that people post from here. There's so many spots that we know. It has to be one of those things as a driver where you go, okay, I'm learning this little section, and then you're going to back it up on either side. And iRacing has made that easier now with the ability to kind of put you back where you were, as opposed to having to start the lap from scratch.
Yes, that's definitely one of the big advantages to how they coded the Nürburgring. There's about 10 or 15 checkpoints around here, where if you have an incident in a solo test session, you can just tow, and instead of putting you all the way back to the beginning, they'll just put you back a mile, maybe 2 at most.
You can actually do that in practice too, and it's not only the Nürburgring, Mount Washington has that feature as well.
That I did not know, but a fantastic feature, very useful for learning this track both in sim, and if you plan to go there in real life. There's plenty of drivers who have used iRacing and other sims to learn this track before ever setting foot here in real life. And let me tell you, I would hate to just come here in real life without having spent at least some time in the sim. First few laps here, really daunting. It's borderline a rally stage if you don't have the track memorized.
Yeah, and that's another great thing about this track that makes it really accessible to people, is it might be the most replicated track in all of racing games and simulators throughout history. The first game that I can think of that had it was Gran Turismo 4, but I know there was some before that. Grand Prix Legends, that's a good one from '97, that featured this circuit.
Toka Race Driver 3, I believe, also had the Nordschleife.
Yes, the Project Gotham racing games, the Forza Motorsport series, they all had this track, as well as just about any sim you get on, including BeamNG now has the Nürburgring. So if you want to replicate your favorite crash from YouTube, you can do it in a wonderful soft body physics in BeamNG. Now the field is kind of single-filed out as they're coming through carousel, or the second carousel. Wes,
Linus carousel.
Yeah, what is the name of that one in German?
We have ourselves a problem.
Whoa. One off the racetrack. It's the law firm, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth.
Is he okay? Did he survive that?
I think so.
It looks like it. Pull up the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay.
That's what happens when you have good lawyers behind you.
Just hopped it a little bit
from the carousel, and the lightest taps that he got away with one there.
He just wall rode, like kind of Chastained it in a way. That's kind of badass. I like that.
And the best part, he's already making a move on Richard Holt.
Yeah, in fact, let's pick up Tom Whitmer going around Frankie D here first. D falling back to the 4th position as Whitmer gets the big long run. This is up, I believe, towards the end of lap number 1. That pass happening there. And then we'll pick this next one up here. This is Hazelworth going to work on Richard Holt, trying to pick up the 6th position. Again, kind of in the same spot. Get the big draft out under the Bilstein Bridge. It's almost too easy in certain sections here to get around because, Wes, like you said, this is full throttle for, what, about a third of the lap here up this section?
So this straight, if I remember correctly, is just under 2 miles of full throttle by the time you're out of the final corner before it and then into this little left, right. Wonderful section, which in these cars, the first two corners are flat still.
And my favorite thing about this section is it was all reprofiled in the early 80s. It was reprofiled, made a little bit wider to accommodate the destruction of the original Nordschleife and put in the Grand Prix circuit. So when they did all the combining of the two circuits for the 24-hour circuit, they redid that whole section, made it wider, and made it a lot easier to pass and have a racing experience. And that's the only section of the track they really majorly touched, because that was the only section that was really visible from the grandstands.
Taking a look here, things are starting to get close at the front. David Porcelli down to a third of a second behind Everett Paddock in the battle for the race lead. Frankie D's only about a second back here with Tom Whitmer as well. And unfortunately, we haven't had anything for Bizzle to draw on the screen yet. It's kind of disappointing.
No, it's not a bad thing.
I mean, I could circle a race car.
Almost.
You can't even do that.
Much car, very fast.
Yes.
Oh, let's take a look
Hey, can
at
we
the
circle
points.
this apex up here?
OMG, left turn. OMG, right turn.
Here we go, down to a miss, hit, miss, where I prefer to call it miss, because that's what I do with every apex there.
Mood.
This section right here, my absolute favorite. So much fun.
Slowest quarter on the track, mind you.
Yes, it is.
Over the bridge, and now we begin the first of the runs uphill. Shortly coming up to Bergwerk, which can be a passing opportunity if you are brave and or stupid.
Check all the above.
Now the long run, flat out uphill, slowly losing speed. You just get to a point where the engine can't keep up with the grade. It doesn't look it, but this is surprisingly steep, and with how long this is, and how little power these have, and how much drag they have, top out about 238 Ks, and then you just start falling.
Yeah, and one thing that's kind of easy to forget here at the Nurburgring is this is situated in Germany's Eifel Mountain region. This track is literally around a castle in the mountains.
I'll tell you what, I thought Porcelli had a shot there for a second. Maybe a little bit of
thought about it.
Yeah, you don't need to make that pass early yet. Man, those cars get so light coming out of the carousel too.
Yeah, it is such an aggressive camber change there. Very, very easy to make a mistake as well. These cars super low to the ground. You bottom out and around you go.
It's always so crazy getting through that corner because you feel the pavement. It feels like it's a completely different type of pavement. It sounds so unique. It feels so rough.
It's almost like it's
one of my
concrete instead
favorite
of asphalt.
Pretty much, yeah. Imagine that.
I'll tell you what, boys, we might be fixing to actually get a show out of this here. Paddock, Porcelli, and Frankie D now separated by 6/7 of a second, and it's only another half second back to Tom Whitmer in fourth.
You know what'll really impress me? In the USF2000 race, we get Porcelli and Lundy side by side again.
There's no way.
Well, if they go how they usually go, that'll be side by side the entire lap.
Yeah,
that
I
would
would
not
put everything
surprise me.
up and Forrest Gump my way from here to California.
Mark that time down, people, and you can send the "Why aren't you walking yet?" Bizzle to bizzle@nationalracingnetwork.com. Taking a look at the point standings for the broadcast championship, overall David Porcelli with a 27-point lead on Carter Lundy, which is really impressive considering Porcelli runs both races and Lundy has only run the USF2000s this season. Nicholas Daly third, 1 point back of Lundy, 28 points back overall. Everett Paddock is 48 points back overall. Teddy B, Ted Burns, 55 back in the 5th position. Looking at the Indy Pro specific standings, Porcelli with a 6-point lead on
Hate
Everett
to interrupt
Paddock.
you, but we got to move for the lead. Porcelli up the inside, and through he goes.
Yeah, he's got it there, but is Paddock going to be able to tuck back in and take advantage of the draft?
He's looking.
You have to be side by side coming through that Bilstein sign and hold it, because this right-hander is your opportunity to make a move on the inside if you hang on the right side there. But it's very difficult to do.
So cross flags are out, halfway home. David Porcelli leading Everett Paddock now. Frankie D, Tom Whitmer, Cameron Dance complete the top 5. Good run for Cameron up in the 5th position.
Quite the race for 7th. They were 3 wide under the Bilstein Bridge.
Let's see. Well, and now it
Check out
looks...
Rod Eskew.
let's see. Okay, a little bit further back. There we go. Simon Fell, Rod Eskew, and Mike Holler battling. Actually, we can throw Brian Labarge into that one as well, I believe. Actually, no, that's Mobin Khan just ahead of Simon.
Rod got so close to that braking zone.
So, one thing I was just thinking about is at a track like Lime Rock Park, during the course of a full IMSA event, 2 hours and 40 minutes, you can walk approximately 2 laps around the track and sit and enjoy each good vantage spot. You would have to go to like 3 or 4 24-hour races here at the Nurburgring to achieve the same thing.
Yeah,
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah,
That
like
sounds like fantastic.
Patrick can attest that me walking around Daytona for a couple days was difficult for me towards the end, to the point to where our other associate Interan was having to literally drag me by his backpack. I don't know if I could physically handle a race at the Nordschleife. That's where I would have to actually get a radial flyer wagon and have someone pull me. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not keeping up.
I could just
We would just
picture
leave you in
Watson
flood pot.
sitting in the wagon,
That's
sucking
fair.
his thumb like, where'd everybody go?
Those jerks left me. Again.
Are
He
you
gets
my
adopted by
mom?
some German. We find Watson 10 years from now only speaking Germans. Nein, you leave me with the bratwurst!
Yeah, that's the only problem, is he would call you and say, hey, I got bratwurst here, and you'd come pick him up. David Porcelli, the race leader, now by 9/10 of a second over Everett Paddock. He is checking up and getting going. Paddock, D, Dance, and Whitmer all still within about 1.25 seconds of each other. Ooh, that was a little moment there for Everett. Now, something that we have not thought about yet here, gentlemen, is the fact that by this race only being 4 laps long, we are going to have a solid half hour to kill. Should we, I guess we can leave the feed up, or should we go in and split this in 2? Because the USF2000s are coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern. I'll let you guys throw that in the text chat, what you think we should do with that one. But I'll tell you what, oh man, this battle's going to be really good here. Cameron Dance, Frankie D in the fight for the final podium spot, and Dance able to come around. He gets the pass completed into turn 420. I believe there's approximately 69,000 corners here at the Nordschleife, if you're measuring them in IMSA standards. Man, I'll tell you what, it seems like every time Porcelli is able to open the gap up, Everett Paddock is able to just claw some of that back. I would imagine, though, James, that could be a function of setup a little bit. If you're going to go not necessarily A1 on the wings, but minimal downforce, you're going to open up the gaps on the straights, whereas the guys who run a little bit more downforce are going to get through the corners quicker. It really is a place where you can kind of set the car up to suit your driving style.
Yeah, I just don't think that's a smart idea to go, to run as low downforce as you can. Yeah, there's a lot of straightaway, and it's a big advantage, but like, there's so much straightaway that, you're not really gonna pull away that much how draft intensive these cars are. And with all these corners, all these tight, difficult corners, you kind of want that extra downforce, kind of like, I'm not gonna pull away from them anyways, so just help me out the most I can throughout the corner. And, hope for the best.
Well, joke's on you. I'm slow whether I run. High downforce, low downforce, doesn't matter. I'm 10 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, that always makes me laugh. I get aggravated by being a second off the pace, a half second off the pace in Fast Masters or something like that. You can run a lap at the Nordschleife and be 2 seconds off the pace and thoroughly excited with the lap that you turn.
Well, you have to remember, in Fast Masters, we typically run 1.5 mile long circuits, so being 2 seconds off the pace is still farther off the pace than 2 minutes off of the Nurburgring. If you compare
once again, move down the Doubleheader for the lead.
Yeah, let's pick up our race leaders here. Brian Lamarge, unfortunately, having an issue. He said he wanted to complete the race. Looks like that may not happen.
Are we going to go 3 wide, or no, we're just getting bump drafting. Just standard Indy Pro 2000 things.
Yeah, Cameron Dance giving the big shove to Porcelli. Oh, man, that was a little close on Paddock.
These are places you want to go side by side.
Sure they are. For the broadcast, it is.
This is where the fans can see it.
That was tight.
Great for them. It's nerve-wracking.
That was fantastic.
I want them to go side by side through the carousel. Wimps. But they never will.
White flag is out, 1 to go here at the Nordschleife. Porcelli leads Paddock, Dance, D, and Whitmer. They're all within 1.2 seconds.
You can absolutely go 2 wide through carousel. It's progressively banked, just in the direction you don't want it to be progressively banked.
Yeah.
The low line is great. The high line is not so good.
I would
There's
not.
a high line?
I would not count out Cameron Dance here. He's a little bit far back at this point, but he's still going to have, if he can get past Paddock before they get to that long final straightaway, he's going to have a shot at picking off Porcelli, and the chance may come right here with these guys going side by side. Oh, who's going to be gutsy? It's going to be Paddock. What a pass by Everett.
Full send around the outside there.
It's not done yet. These guys are going to start swapping leads every couple of corners here.
Yeah, just long enough of a straightaway to get the draft and try to make the dive bomb. The AJ Camargo checking in saying, fight, fight, fight. Yes.
That's plenty of fighting going on, that's for sure.
I almost wonder if Porcelli is kind of going big brain and saying, I don't want to be the leader on that straightaway.
That could certainly be the case, given how things have been the last few times here. We might see 3 wide down the Doubleheader. It would be certainly doable. We've proved that already earlier in the race. But
Paddock slides a little wide.
Ooh, that was nerve-wracking.
God, it's almost like, yeah, right here. Does Everett Paddock just breathe the throttle a little bit? Yeah, go ahead. Come on past. You almost slow the entire pack up to try to hold on to the lead.
It's a good tactive, and there it is.
Yep. Speaking of strategies, Paddock back to second.
That is exactly what happens in Fast Master, especially when James is behind me. He keeps trying to back off, build that gap so he can get that huge run past me. And I'll start lifting off the gas, tapping the brake, making sure he stays right on my rear bumper so he can't get that huge run on me.
I'm not getting that huge run to pass you. I'm getting that huge run to put you into the next corner.
Well, the same logic can be applied here. You don't want to get punted.
All 5 of these guys now nose to tail. Porcelli still holds the race lead, but Paddock is in the catbird seat. They attack the carousel for the final time. Who's going to get the big draft? I thought Cameron Dance might have had a shot by now, but he's about 2.5 car lengths back, although he will get a massive run if he times this one. This could be one of those where Paddock hangs back a hair, Dance stays right with them, and all of a sudden these two go through and Cameron Dance can try to sneak himself a win. Could be turning
we'll find out in just about 5 kilometers.
Could be.
This is definitely the best Nordschleife race we've had since we've been broadcasting.
Ever.
Porcelli with a little bit of a gap, and by a little bit I mean, I don't know, 6 car lengths?
Not enough.
That's about the biggest he's had all race.
Yeah, it's about 0.6 of a second right now. It's almost out of draft range. That's the big number right now, but it's down to a half second.
They're almost into the straightaway now. Just a handful more corners to go, and the straightaway is going to be the big difference. Just this left-hander here, and then a long sweeping right-hander. You got to keep yourself in draft range.
Sitting right about 0.6 of a second. Cameron Dance is going to be there to help give the shove to Everett Paddock.
We got the draft snake going already. They're closing.
It's down to 0.3. Paddock right there, called a car length and a half, maybe 2 car lengths. Paddock is there.
The outside, but
he's going to have a shot under the Millstein Bridge. Paddock to the race lead. He clears.
It's not done yet. Porcelli's looking back.
Yeah, Porcelli has the inside coming into the final corner.
Oh, there's contact! Paddock's off the racetrack. Through the final corner, twin checkers in the air. David Porcelli picks up the win at the Nordschleife. Cameron Dance going to come home second. Frankie D holds on for third. And there's Everett Paddock able to get the car back on the racetrack. He comes home in the 5th position.
Wow.
Now, since we haven't used this all race, there is your race winner.
Yes. I'm glad you pointed that out. I would not have been able to find that.
Yeah,
the donuts certainly don't give it away.
He is doing that on purpose.
You can't park there, bud. Oh, my
But you know where he is going to be able to park? Right up here in this booth as we interview him in just a few minutes.
Yes. Man, like, that's a segue. It's almost like Wes knows what the hell he's doing as opposed to the rest of us. Final results, we can talk those through for you here. David Porcelli getting the win over Cameron Dance and Frankie D on the podium. Tom Whitmer, Everett Paddock complete your top 5. Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, Richard Holt, Mobin Khan, Greg Gilman, and Rod Eskew complete the top 10 here this evening. 11 to 15, Simon Fell, Mike Kyle, Brian Labarge, Liam Loisel, and Max King will round out your 15-car field here this evening. Just waiting on our winners to get down here to victory lane, but I tell you what, James, I was impressed. That was more than I expected for us to get out of the Nordschleife. It was not happy night at the Nords.
I'm telling you, man, this track can put on some great races. You know, we just hadn't caught the breaks we needed to get one of those awesome runs. So we had like a 5-car slugfest and a near photo finish with some argy-bargy at the end. Like, I told you that this place can put on great races.
Argy-bargy, by
and
the way...
And they don't even need to be 24 hours. It's amazing what you can do in 4 laps.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, argy-bargy is German for grab-ass. That's what they were playing there into those final corners. Just waiting
yeah,
for
I'll
David...
play some argy-bargy, aw. Oh, I can hear Wes crying right now.
Who are offended by James' impersonation of the German language, please send all hate mail to watspin@nationalracenetwork.com.
I'm probably getting a whole bunch from Wes
Load. Yeah, I'm. Your inbox is now full, and
I'm like half German, so.
Peasant.
I almost just made a joke that may have gotten us thrown off the air. Let's bring up the comment here from the AJ Camargo, because I agree with him on this one. Let's see. There we go. For Nords, it was a nice race. Usually the car just spread out. Yeah. Quite literally, I have
not necessarily incorrect.
Yeah, I say, AJ, if you check the U.S. Open Wheel chat on the Discord, there is actually a nap time night at the Nords. Wait, I'm sorry. What were we going to call this?
Nap time at the Nords.
Nap time at the Nords was going to be the graphic that we used for tonight, but that wasn't it. It was a fantastic show. Yes. I'm writing an email just now when I'm not even German. Oh, that works. Let's see if we're going to get... I don't see any of our winners coming in here for interviews here tonight. So with that, then, I think we're going to step away. We're going to shut the stream down because we don't want to have you guys sitting around for the next 20 minutes with absolutely nothing to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to shut down the stream now. We will come back on air at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Daylight Time. If you are AJ Camargo down in Brazil, that would be 11 p.m. Brazilian Daylight Time, or whatever your time zone is called. If you're anywhere else in the world, you're on your own. Figure it out. You use the metric system anyway, and we speak in freedom units over here. Freedom units and daylight savings time for everybody. With that, we are going to jump on out of here. For Wes Shire, Patrick Byrne, and James Watson, and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen. We'll talk to you all in about 15-20 minutes here for more USF2000 racing coming up from the Nordschleife. Until then, we'll see you later.